Allow me to introduce the new mission on the move, with the vision and the tools for the building of a cool community with a new way of living. Improve the city with tools and a system. Power moves using political wisdom. It's Govan Mbeki Municipality work, a model city of excellence, quality work. Provide you a good service society deserves. Izanda ziyagezana, morality preserved. On people spoke and the city has totally noted. Keep the focus, see transformation in progress. Mayor with a cape on his shoulders. Umuntu ngabantu, Ubuntu together holds us.
Good day, everyone. Let me take this opportunity and greet you once more as we continue to promote our municipality, the talent that we have, and promote the concept of a model city of excellence. One of the best things that we continue to promote is the talent that we have and those that continue to excel and inspire our communities. Today, we are having a son of the soil, Uputi Umusa, who is joining us today. He will explain who he is to those that do not know him. But he is one individual coming from Govan Mbeki in the area of Epetal Mzinoni. Welcome, Musa. We are hoping that we are going to have a great joy.
No, without a doubt, exactly, man. Thank you so much for the warm reception, and also thank you so much for the invite. It is definitely, a pleasure to be here. I mean, when I first, noticed the podcast, I remember, ringing your bell, and I was like, Executive Mayor, what is this great, innovation that is happening in Govan Mbeki? Why can't I be part of it? But I'm glad that I got the invite finally, and I'm honored indeed. Normally, when I start my show, I'll explain a bit about the show, but I say, Agwande, or Rochani. Normally, I'd say, Lichoni Langesi, South Africa. Then I'll tell people what the show is about for that day. So, Ikamala Musa Sikhosana, ngizalelwe eBetali, Bethel Hospital to be more precise, and ngizalelwe eBetali. And my first birthday, I remember, snow. I still have those pictures. EBetali, and iphathi yami bayenzela e1
1997.
No, it was 1993.
Oh, okay.
Snow. My first birthday was in 1994, obviously, and then bayenzela e1 elokishini elidala. There used to be a police station there, just more Nhlakanipho e1, so that's where my birthday was. But then I started my primary school Elangelihle. There was a Mem Shong, I think, or I forgot the surname. That she was my grade 1 teacher. Fortunately enough, she became a friend of my family. So from my mother's side, because Bethal, where I was born, is mainly from my mother's side. So then until grade 7, I was in Elangelihle. I would have loved to go in the but I mean, Langelihle was the one. And fortunately enough, my mom got married, or got remarried, and then I had another family. So from grade 8, then I moved to be on the Lowveld side of Mpumalanga. Then I finished my matric there, and I went to study at Johannesburg. Now I became Ujoni comes to Joburg for the first time. But in a nutshell, I've always treasured Ipetal. Abona Sikhosana nje, namhlanje ngisabathanda. So yeah.
Well, yes, well understood. Umuntu wase Govan Mbeki unga-understand ukuthi unasikhosana and then unenkinga.
Yeah, no, definitely, Executive Mayor. But so just to give a little bit of background of the family I grew up in Epetal. So Gakule, if you're definitely from Epetal, you would know Bagakule. Utiti Gule umkhulu wami, the late Besitshengisa Malahle. And yeah, we grew up ngamalahle uqaba matrekela uke kholiati ngiyazazi zonke lezi zinto lezo. And then I've got like my umamncane wami bebahlala area eBetali. So those are some of the areas in Kulele, Gizo, Epetal. So F5, extension 5, Ewelas, that's where also I'd visit my uncle, Usahlala Kona. Ekanana, I still have relatives there, extension 22. So Epetal nje, ngiyayazi. Namhlanje I can take my wife, just go to Epetal. There's no area ngati angiyazi unless that place has just been recently developed. So those are some of the things. Grew fond of Epetali. One thing that distinctively stands out, Artapes. I used to attend the Artapes. Oh man, Artapes. For the first time, Mboni Kamel, ngalibona Artapes. For the first time in my life. So I'm really, really proud of some of the memories that have been entrenched. You see, Executive Mayor, you get people today, baya go Dubai, bobona makamela, or baya wherever. Mina Dubai is a Govan Mbeki, I born. So I'm really, it's definitely one of those things that really stands out in your childhood that makes you, just like when you navigate life, you don't navigate life on the negative. You navigate life on the positive, because I'd never be influenced to fly to as far as Dubai just to see a camel. It doesn't make sense to me. I'd rather go to a place where I'd see something I've never seen on my childhood or when I was, or rather growing up. So Bethel, it's still the place for me. Let me just say the municipality itself. I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. But what does Musa do these days?
Okay. Ngisebenza Rise FM. Rise FM is it's the only commercial radio station in the province. I host the current affairs, Rise FM, having come from Epetal. It's one of those things about bangazi ngako. I run a business, but it's not predominantly this side. It's that side. So, but mainly about bangazi ngokuthi, I'm a broadcaster for a commercial radio station, and I host the current affairs. It's called Rise FM in 60 minutes. So njalo nje during the week monga tuna in 7 till 8. Uzwa mina ngikhuluma nabo executive mayor.
Yeah, no, I'm one familiar person who gets grilled. So fortunate enough, I'm getting an opportunity to grill you today.
But I'm always kind to you, so please be kind to me as well.
So how did you get to be with Rise FM? The passion getting you there, how did you get to develop towards that particular direction?
It was purely by accident, Executive Mayor. I was going to a community radio station, it's a Baba Jones called BCRFM. I was going to be interviewed there. When I got there, the person who interviewed me fascinated me in so many ways. I was convening an event that was coming soon, so they were trying to profile and understand the people that were going to be part of the event. So upon that, obviously I'm the host of the event, so I was called in to say, tell us about this program that you're going to be doing, and how will it benefit the young people of the area. The person interviewed me. I was so fascinated by the knowledge of what I'm doing and what communities, or rather what the community stood to benefit. Off air, on air he's interviewing me, but off air, I was the one interviewing him, asking a lot of questions about, so when you press this, so how many people can hear you? When you do that, I was really fascinated by the space. Fast forward, I was absorbed into PCRFM. I started there being a producer. I went on to host their breakfast show. And then from there, I went on to study in Johannesburg. As I've mentioned, I studied sound engineering at ASE. It's called Academy of Sound Engineering. At the time, it was inside SABC. So I studied there, interned at 5FM, I interned at YFM. So the bug kept on biting. But I realized that I ought to come back home. But the unfortunate thing is that my mom had passed on. So some of the other reasons I had to come back home. So my mom had passed on. So I couldn't just conquer the world while as not knowing how the situation was at home. So I needed to be ascertain that home was fine. So I made a conscious decision to come back home. And now I'm coming back home to Barberton because my younger siblings were there. So I go to Barberton. Okay, now I have this background of radio, and the buck is bit. But I'm looking at platforms where I could execute this talent now that I've assumed. And BCR at the time was the only one, because it was a multilingual radio station type. So you'd speak Vernac, but also get to speak English. Okay, fine. Now I can speak English. But obviously, when you come from a community radio station, every time listeners tune in, they're like, hey, lo mfana wesilungu lo. Hey, lo mfana wesilungu. But I needed a platform that would best suit my capabilities. Rise FM was the only commercial radio station. They've just come out of the era of Empower. They've just been bought at the time. And then they did a whole rebranding. And then now they were Rise FM. And I wanted so badly to be part of that institution. I remember applying, the then station manager. Well, I applied in another radio station, which is Cllr FM, the Siswati, a predominant radio station in the province. The station manager there was going to be at Rise FM, but I didn't know. So he was with Cllr FM at the time, and I applied there. He told me that Siswati Samsia bet. So I knew that I don't stand a chance. And now this English commercial radio station was the one, but I didn't know anyone. Funny enough, he went there, and then someone told me that he was there, and I sent him a demo. And then he said to me, yeah, I'm still not convinced. But I tried a bit harder, and I applied. Luckily, they absorbed me. But I'm absorbed as a producer, not as a presenter. So the thing I wanted was to be behind the mic. So as a producer, you get to produce a show for someone to execute your work, and then that person becomes famous because of the work that you've done. I felt robbed, but I mean, it was the order of the day. So my now manager, editor, saw the potential that I possessed. She said, why don't you try this thing out? There was a stand-in. One of the core presenters of the show, which is Rise FM in 60 Minutes, was absent, and I was given the opportunity. Executive Mayor, I excelled. I made sure that when contract season comes on one show, when contract season had to come back, I must be included in that conversation to say, yeah, but this boy. So I made sure I did my research on every guest. And I even went as far as Bananaze, Bashangi Stagazelo, before I interviewed them. I'd say, for example, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Executive Mayor of Govan Mbeki, Mr. Nhlakanipho Zuma, Umsholo Zukhona. Such things, and it would give the guest some sense of, this kid knows me, or this Mfanalo Young has. And the show was nice. The editors, they saw that, no, okay, cool, this guy possesses it. And as they say, Executive Mayor, the rest is history, because I've never looked back. And, from Lenchalo Ebe Solifagwa gave me through this institution, just the love of what I was doing. I got into that institution, and then I excelled. And I ensured that no one does it the way I do it, and I needed to be the best at what I was doing.
Now, from now, moving forward, I think that we know who Musa is, but how do we then relate to Musa as Govan Mbeki aspirant young people who want to succeed in the industry? How do we get into that particular space? Musa usinceda kanjani for us to get there?
Yeah, it's very easy. Some of the things that we can take out from my story is that I dared to believe that I could do it, irregardless. Look, I come from Bethal, and when you listen to Ukhozi, when you listen to Rise FM, Cllr FM, Ilanga, you get a sense that this thing is far-fetched. I won't get it. I mean, those people are privileged. But the difference between yourself and those people is believing in yourself. It's believing that you are also equally capable. Remember, DJ Spoo, Executive Mayor Nhlakanipho Zuma, is not Nhlakanipho Zuma today because he's an Executive Mayor today. There's some processes that he had to undergo to become the individual that he is. Chances are, if he were to share his story, he did not have an upbringing like many other people. His was maybe a little bit disadvantaged by certain other things. But he dared to believe, and then when he believed in himself so much that he only had himself to attain whatever. So the youth of Govan Mbeki, what we take up from my story, ukuthi uma ukholelwa utalent onalo wena as an individual, ayikho into ezokunqabela ukuthi wena ufike la ufuna ukuya khona. One. Secondly, always be where the opportunities are. For an example, I went to a PCR. That was my entry point. I went there to be interviewed. It was an opportunity for something else, but for something else greater. Because a lot of the times you find that young people in Govan Mbeki, all of them want to be absorbed by the mines. Ufuna ukuyoqashwa emayini. Ufuna ukuyoqashwa emayini. But the problem is, okay, let's say you were to dream differently. What is another dream that you could potentially dream of? Is to own a mine. No one is thinking of that. And to own a mine, Executive Mayor, is not difficult. It's just a paperwork thing. And when you have identified a spot where there's minerals, it's just paperwork. But let's say, Executive Mayor, okay, yes, you've got an aspiration of being part of a mine, but not only to work there as an employee, but maybe you want to be a supplier. But the problem with us, the youth of Govan Mbeki, is that we want to supply the very thing that the next person is supplying. How does it make you different? Exactly. You look at, for an example, you've got Sasol, you've got Evander Gold Mine, you've got quite a number of factories or industries here. You look at what they don't have currently. For an example, you look now, Evander Gold Mine, they recently launched this solar plant of some kind. The question is, as a young entrepreneur who comes from Govan Mbeki, how do you fit in? What is it that you know that could potentially make you a supplier? Have you studied something around, the solar, the wind, around that? Because everyone is trying to navigate around what's going on right now. What is it that you know? Okay, maybe you know somebody who can sell them batteries. And that makes you exclusive because no one currently knows that those wind, generator solars, they need batteries to keep on running. Where can we get those batteries that could power up those things? Maybe you know someone. Maybe that battery is in Durban, or maybe it's here in the municipality, but you know someone. Then you can easily go to them and say, look, I can service your batteries. As soon as they run out, I've got a supply. Automatically that makes you their supplier because they don't have anyone else. And even if they do, how best can you position yourself? You can beat whomever they have already. It's pricing. You look at how much the person is charging. You see, then the nice thing about business or the nice thing about information, Executive Mayor, is not withheld. It's just given. The difference is how you consume it. Because if I can go to them, for an example, I'll make an example about them, and say, who's actually providing your batteries? If they care enough, they'll tell me, oh, okay, it's Mr. Zuma. He's charging us at this price. And you can say to them, I can give you at this price. And even if they say no, you don't have anything to lose. You have done your part. You look at other ways of how you could also benefit from the ecosystem of Govan Mbeki. You've got Graceland. You've got quite a number of tourism activities in this area. What are we doing for tourism? We've got the Cllr Nhlakanipho Museum in Bethal. How are we making it attractive to tourists? How are we ensuring that the legacy of those museums? Executive Mayor, I went to a museum in Gauteng. I paid 450 to look at sculptures and statues. And the nice thing about it is that they make you wear 3D glasses. You don't see some of the other things. You see them through that technology. Why are we not doing that in Govan Mbeki? Why are we not creating an experience where we can make people pay for it, but we can wear our spectacles and experience how it felt to be part of those wars at the time that were happening in Govan Mbeki? We've got one of the prisons here in Govan Mbeki. History tells us that Nelson Mandela slept there. Do we know that? Why are we not making that cell same as Robben Island? He slept here. He was transferred from Barberton prison, he came to Bethal and then he left. But why are we making that cell where he slept same as the one in Robben Island. People in Robben Island Executive Mayor pay money, they sleep there. We've got international musicians, stars, celebrities coming to South Africa, going to Cape Town, and sleeping where Nelson Mandela slept. Where has he also slept here in Govan Mbeki? I had a conversation with the judge president of the Mpumalanga Division High Court, President Judge Likhodi. He told me that the first time he practiced law in its entirety, he came to Bethal to free the late Ubabu Jackson Mthembu. He was imprisoned in Bethal. I marveled at that story because he asked me when I was born. I told him in Bethal. He had to share a story with me about Bethal. And I realized the depth and the history that is in this place, that we're not making use of it. When Jackson Mthembu died, what is it that Bethal can claim about him? He was imprisoned there. Why are we not holding memorial lectures about maybe his leadership style? He rose from nowhere in Mpumalanga to become the chief whip of the African National Congress in the National Assembly. It's a big deal in South African politics. We've got guys like Josiah Tukwana who come from this area. What is it that we see? Executive Mayor, there's a lot that we can learn from people that come from this area. And the problem is that we need to not look down on ourselves as people who come from Govan Mbeki and start to inspire or rather start to think of ourselves as bigger players in the ecosystem of South Africa. We've got Zano, who come from this area. He come from Mbalenhle. He went on to perform with guys like Layabouts, with Black Coffee, who was a Grammy Award winner. That's a big deal for Govan Mbeki. So if you did not believe in the music that you make as an artist who come from Govan Mbeki, that you're capable, look at Zano, he did it. If you did not believe as a person who's in the sports fraternity, you've got May Mahlango who comes from this area. He's currently playing overseas. You've got guys like Abob Josiah Tukwana. He's the first black man who won a medal in the Comrade Marathon in the history of South Africa. You've got a lot of things, good things that come from Govan Mbeki. The question is, where you are seated, lo kwenzayo, how best can you sell amatamati akho such that people outside the area of Govan Mbeki can start to notice to no man. We could be buying them from the same place, but the packaging is different. The way you sell your product to your customers, the way you so clean, the way your station is clean. So I think my story is relatable because my story is not unique, but my story is a story of someone who dreamed or dreamt of something that many thought it's unattainable. I did receive it. And right now I'm starting to make different plans about my future. Because now that I've achieved this, and I realize that actually I have it in me to actually achieve way more than I thought. So to any young person or any person who believes Ohlala like Govan Mbeki, I'd like to say to them, if you can dream it, then you can definitely have it. And once you have it, then evaluate how big your dream was, because you potentially could have something way bigger.
No, thank you very much, Musa. I think that our communities have heard, and I know and understand that there's a lot that you can share with us in terms of what we possess as the municipality and also what we are capable of producing. But what is most important, that we have listened to Musa giving us lessons about success and how to make it within the industry, but not only within the industry, but how to promote our municipality, is that you can dream and it will be realizable. Now, what is most important, Musa, is that while we do these kind of engagements, we would also want to see contributions coming from individuals that have made it in various fields so as we can be able to advance our Govan Mbeki. Excellence does not exist in the absence of dreamers. It is therefore for that particular reason that we would want to continue to engage with all the members of our excelling community in Govan Mbeki as we seek to produce a model city of excellence by 2030. We are going to have this city realized because we are dreaming of it and we are making it. With that said, we would want to take this opportunity and appreciate the visit from our honorable guest of today, Ubaba Musa Sikhosana, and please greet the rest of the team with Rise FM and continue to represent us with pride.
Executive Mayor, it was an honor.
Members of Govan Mbeki Excellence, this is the end of our show. We'll meet once more. Thank you very much.
Allow me to introduce the new mission on the move, with the vision and the tools for the building of a cool community with a new way of living. Improve the city with tools and a system. Power moves using political wisdom. It's Govan Mbeki Municipality work, a model city of excellence, quality work. Provide to a good service society deserves. Izanda ziyageza na morality preserved. Born, people spoke and the city has totally noted. Keep the focus, see transformation in progress. Mayor with a cape on his shoulders, umuntu, ngabantu, ubuntu together holds us.